And we're live, I think. Uh, hey everyone, welcome to my Age of Revolution week 9 live stream breakdown discussion, whatever you want to call it. I'm starting this one a little bit earlier than I had initially planned, just because of things. So hopefully anyone that had planned to see it or prepared to see it at some time, hopefully you still get this notification and see it. Yeah, I hope everyone's doing well on this Saturday evening. I hope if anyone watching this is American, I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. And yeah, hope everyone is doing well. And here we are, as I said, week 9. Crazy how time flies. We've done 8. This is the 8th live stream. Crazy, crazy how time flies. But yeah. Hope everyone's doing well. As per usual, I can see the chat, but I can't see who's watching. So if you are watching live, let me know. Say hello. And yeah, I will probably just go straight into the books this week. We have got 4 books this week. We got the standard normal size. Next week we have 3 again. So let's enjoy the standard amount of content this week as opposed to next week. What would I describe this week? Hmm. Um, I don't know how. Solid, solid. I think. Yeah. So, without further ado, I think I'm just gonna get straight into it, really. So, um, also things are a bit different in the flat today. The light isn't turned on, mostly because it wasn't turned on earlier and I can't reach it, so that's not going on. The interview, the vampire poster's fallen off the wall and I can't put it back up. So, other than that, let's get straight into it with the first book. Now, obviously, of course, as usual, spoilers. Um, spoilers. So, if you haven't read the books and you want to read the books and not be surprised, don't watch this. But I have a feeling most people either have read the books or just want to know what's going on, which is fair enough, as I've often joked. Um, I'm reading Age of Revelation, so you don't have to if you don't want to. So yeah. Okay, we're on to book number 1 this week is oh, I forgot that. Well, little spoiler there for the end of the book. The first book this week is Expatriate X-Men, um, by E-Viewing, without by I forgot their name. Mortarino. I'm all over the place today. The artist of NYX, um, Francesco Mortarino, I believe. Um, so Expatriate X-Men, Expatriate X-Men is the book featuring Miss Marvel and then the exceptional X-Men kids. Well, some of them. So you've got Miss Marvel, Bronze, Melee, Rift, who can create portals in time and space. You've also got Colossus and Mystique. And so if you remember from the first issue, they have their own flotilla and they are um, patrolling along the border of the Revelation territories with the USA on the Mississippi River and doing who knows what with their crew, which also features people like Blob, Dupe, North Star, Toad. Not that any of them really have much to do, but yeah. So that's the team, and then in the first issue, they rescued a new character called Lyrebird, who needed to be delivered to the Limbo Lands and apparently has some intel or something because they're taking orders from Mystique. But then, as we found out at the very end of the issue, is that Melee is having orders from someone else and has the order to make sure that he doesn't reach the Limbo Lands. So obviously already some internal conflict there because the captain of the ship does not agree with the rest of the team and is obviously working for someone else who we don't know just yet. But anyway, so that was where the last issue left off. And this issue opens with Colossus asleep and dreaming. And we see really that Bronze Trista has really sort of developed a close relationship with Colossus, which I guess makes sense because they both have a similar power set. You know, Colossus turns to steel, she turns into a bronze metal. And so she's here waking him up to take some medicine because he don't know how, but he was injured severely. He's got burns on his body and he's missing an arm. So something in the past hurt him a lot. We also see here as well that they sort of bond over the fact that he's having a dream about Kitty. Oh my god, for PTSD back to the days of the Kitty Piotr relationship. So yeah, he's having a dream about her and how he misses her so much. But she's also like, yeah, I get it. I miss her too. I would do anything to bring her back. But they all think she's dead. Now, obviously, we, the readers, know that she's not dead. She's a ghost, which, you know, maybe she might as well be dead. Well, she's been hanging around in Philadelphia since Doug turned her into a ghost and trying to help the little the little chorister Elbecca, and more of that in the Book of Revelation book. But obviously they all think she's dead, so Trista's pretty upset about it as well. So they really have obviously over the past few years bonded together over I'm sure multiple things, but partly their shared grief around Kitty. And even though, you know, I'm not a fan of Kitty and Peter together, you know, I think it's makes sense that he's upset about this. You know, I think that's okay that he's, you know, grieving her being dead. You know, regardless of whether their relationship is a bit odd, you know, they had a really close relationship, so that's fair. And I think this is a nice moment as well. It's always good to see the newer characters interacting with people beyond their initial cast. And again, I think Trista Bronze is the breakout start of this new era, to be fair. So I love that for her. We also see that Melee and Lyrebird are getting it on, which kind of bit, excuse me, like took me by surprise. He's clearly loving it. I think I feel like Melee might. I think there's ulterior motives to Melee doing this. I it's not too sure whether they knew each other before. I don't think they do, but anyway, so they've done the deed, and he's, you know, all for more of it, but she's not really having it. And then essentially they get stopped, or they are attempting to. They had a deal with some other pirates, and it's Shinobi Shore, which is I guess a fun pool. He's actually got quite a bit of had quite a bit of exposure this era, to be fair. This new era. Obviously, Shinobi Shore is the son of, well, the adopted son of Shinobi Shore, the actual son of Harry Leland, and his power is he can change his density a lot like Kitty. So I guess there's something there. And they have a bit of a fight. Melee turns everyone invisible because obviously Melee's powers, if you don't know, is that she can turn intangible as well, but also turn people invisible. So she turns the whole team invisible. There's a bit of a fight, but um, that one of the team ends up, one of the bad guys ends up catching Lyrebird, and Melee sort of like, oh yeah, you can do what you want, leave him, we don't need him, which read to me obviously like her whole secret mission is to get rid of him and make sure he doesn't make it to the Limbo Lands. And then it turns out he has another, well, as you can see here, he sets on fire, and it turns out that that's his like secondary mutation, or his mutation is that he can catch fire, and so he kills this one guy. But I'm gonna be honest, in the moment I was so confused. I was like, did he just get burnt up? Probably was just me not reading it correctly, but in the moment when I saw the panel, I was like, oh my god, he's just dead. Like, what's gonna happen? Like, I thought he got set on fire. Alas, he didn't. He has a fire power. Um, so they deal with Shinobi Shaw. He leaves, and that's that. But then the rest of the team are pretty unsure about Lyrebird from then on, because they didn't know he had this flame ability. So they're like, "Are you a spy?" Blah 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 blah. No one trusts him, and so he's very confused. Um, Obviously, they can't trust many people, including their own captain, but not that they know that. Um, and then they're trying to have a debate of, oh, should we throw him out? Should we leave him behind? And obviously, Melee is really pushing. No, we should just leave him here. Let's not take him to the Limbo Lands. Blah 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 blah. But then Colossus uh, arrives from his nap, I guess, and he's like, well, if he needs to go to the Limbo Lands, um, which is obviously controlled by his sister Ileana, or his sister's demonic form, the Dark Child. He's like, well, then he needs to go, and I'm going to protect him. Um, and so that's sort of settled. They're like, okay, well, let's vote. It's settled. We'll take him there. But obviously, Melee doesn't want that to happen, and so literally forces him. He literally phases him through the ground so he can escape. Um, and we're like, what? Well, what's going on? Blah 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 blah. Like we like Melee just is not smooth with this at all. She's gotten desperate, and so is like, you know what? I'm just gonna get rid of him now. I don't care what any of you say. But they have a bit of an argument. Um, and so somehow Miss Marvel manages to get underneath the ship and rescue him. These panels are a little bit confusing, but well, rescue him slash capture him, and obviously you can see that she's using her light powers here. I guess, is that how she's able to like not have to breathe underwater? I don't. It's not explained very well. Anyway, and so while they're under there, okay, I assume she got teleported by Rift. Anyway, she goes under there. She sees the underside of the boats, and then they get teleported back. So Melee's plan has failed, but oh, I didn't include the page here. Basically, she gets back on the ship, and she realizes that what she saw underneath the ship is that the whole flotilla is powered by 3K technology, which, 3K is the current villains of the present. The chairman, who we don't know, but it's maybe Krakoa Beast, Cassandra Nova, Astra, and Wire. They're the ones that had been turning normal humans into mutants, and have been blamed for the X-Virus, but we know that's Revelation now. So, and the only person that knew about this was Melee, because she's the captain of the ship. So they all start arguing about that when Rift suddenly teleports them all to the Limbo Lands, and that's where they end up. Obviously, it looks quite different to what we saw in Amazing X-Men issue 2, where it looked like quite a simple place, but like just a miserable place. But yeah, so they get teleported to the Limbo Lands, and that's where the issue ends. And oh, Max, I see. Hi, Max. Hope you're good. I enjoyed Pirate Dupe. I enjoyed Dupe for I enjoyed Dupe in a cameo role. So I don't mind Pirate Dupe. I also don't. To be fair, I think I appreciate at least on Eviewing's behalf that she's including some other X-Men characters who haven't had a shine this era. You know, Blob finally free from Grey Malcolm prison. He's now a chef. Love that. And North Star and Toad. The thing is, I just want to, now that we're talking about North Star, the one thing I will say that I think missed opportunity, because it's obviously not going to happen, is that with the whole X virus thing, with the whole 3K thing, you know, North Star and his husband Jean Paul, not Jean Paul, North Star and his husband Kyle, obviously that part of their whole dynamic, or part of the problem with their relationship in terms of within the comics and not being shown enough, is that Kyle is a human. So all of any story involving North Star and Kyle involves North Star being worried about Kyle. So really, they could have used the X virus as a way to make Kyle into a mutant. They could have done that. And you know what? Because 3K are making humans into mutants, why don't they just do that to Kyle? I know that's like bad in terms of, oh, he has to suffer, but like, let's just give him some powers. I like thought of that a few weeks ago, and I feel like that's just a missed opportunity. But I guess it's clear that they don't have any plans for North Star anyway, so they're not going to bother. But I just put that out there. I think they should just, if also it would make us care a bit more if a character we actually knew about got turned into a mutant or tortured or what have you. I don't know. I think it'd be fun. And anyway, Jed McKay is like a big Alpha Flight fan. North Star is a previous member of Alpha Flight. Like, it's all connecting the dots. But anyway, that's beyond the point. The other important thing, well, the other thing I'll mention about this issue is that it also references something that happens in Undeadpool issue 3, which comes out in a month. In this week, Undeadpool issue 2 comes out, but they mention something that happens in Undeadpool issue 3, which is just interesting that timeline-wise, why we're spoiling the end of Undeadpool a month before it happens, but alas, there we go. So yeah, that's Expatriate X-Men issue 2 for your. I enjoyed this. I don't think it was, unfortunately, I don't think it was as strong as issue 1. Like, plot happened, but sometimes I just don't think enough was like explained. But I don't particularly blame E-viewing for this. I'm blaming more the fact that this book has 3 issues. I feel like if we had 4, there'd be more space to just either let things breathe or explain things better. Obviously they don't get that, but things happened, which is you know, I'm still taking that as a positive from Exceptional X-Men, where a lot of things didn't happen. Not that that's a bad thing, but sometimes I think it was a bit slow. Still some interesting twists in this though. I think the other thing is some of the art was just a bit like, I think Francesco Mortorino's art is beautiful, but I think some of the art is a bit didn't really make it clear on some things. Like, I was a bit confused about Lyrebird, and yeah, and the whole thing with the 3K thing, I wouldn't have known about it if it hadn't been said after. But still a solid book. So that's Expatriate X-Men issue 2. And Max, I can see you asked, are you skipping the Infinity comics? I'm not reading them, but I saw there was a big hullabaloo about Magik apparently being not treated well. I have read them. I'm just not included them. I've not included them in this because they started halfway through, and I'm just like, it's 10 pages mostly, and so I don't know, I don't feel the need to cover them. Sorry, unless you were expecting. It's just stuff that's explaining stuff that's happening in the current one, so I don't feel there is imperative. Obviously, as I said, I will be probably doing a timeline video explaining everything that happened in the Age of Revelation sometime in January, if I can bring myself to read everything again. So I'll include them in there, but I won't be talking about them in the. I don't have a dedicated Infinity Comic section, but I have read them. Yeah, and the whole thing with Magik, it's just, I think it's definitely, I yeah, it's I just don't. I think they were the magic one. I think the cable ones were fine. It was fine, but the magic one just I had issues with it for multiple reasons. I think some of it just was a bit lackluster in terms of it was explaining what actually happened to Magik and why she died, etc., etc. She literally just got shot by Nick Fury after killing Maria Hill for some reason. And then, as you see, her body, she gets taken, her soul or her body gets taken to limbo by Velasco, obviously her kidnapper and abuser in the original stuff. And like, there's some panels and some way things are drawn with like the demons and Sim as well, who also, you know, obviously a lot of the stuff is just implied and not actually stated in the comics from Chris Claremont and then Louise Simonson in the sort of Inferno stuff. But it's just, I think it's just the way it's all positioned. Not positioned. It's the way it's like laid out and the what how the composition of the panels and sort of what Magic says. And it's just a bit. It just hasn't. I don't want to say icky because I feel like that's like, but like it just is a bit. It leaves a poor taste. I would say poor taste, and I feel like it's just unnecessary because none of how I saw Darkchild in Amazing X-Men issue 2 felt like it didn't feel cohesive. Obviously, I know there's a whole decade in between then and now, but it just I don't know. It just felt icky. Like I understand. Oh, we can like link it back to People of Limbo, but the way it was done is just a bit like I don't know. Yeah. So it's just yeah, it's one of those things. But I don't think I don't agree with people like chasing people off Twitter that does nothing. And but also there's more than one person at fault for things like that. You know, there's the writer, but then there's also the editors and whatnot, who are the ones that have to read through and proof them and things like that. So there's not just one person at fault for those sort of things. And I just think it was in poor taste. But yeah, so I don't know. I'll obviously read the next ones as well, but I won't be covering them in this thing. But anyway, that's Expatriate X-Men for you all. On to the next one, Cloak and Dagger issue 2. And by the way, let me know if you've got any other thoughts about Expatriate X-Men. And hi, KDA, hope you're doing well. Too many characters not getting written right these days. Yeah, well, we're in the age of revelation. This is dark times for us all. This book is written by Justina Ireland with art by Lorenzo Tometa. And obviously, Cloak or Dagger is about the duo Cloak and Dagger. But in this future, much like the Marvel Rivals version, they have become intertwined and can only exist once at a time. In the last issue, they're at like the border of the Revelation territories, and somehow the Fenris twins, the incest Nazi twins, have found a way to start mutating more humans into mutants, and so they attack this army base, and yeah, that was pretty much it. And they were like trying to set up their own sort of army of mutants. So yeah, that was how the last issue started. In the beginning, we get a bit of a backstory, a bit of what happened to them 10 years ago. They were in Ohio, and the whole thing with the X virus was happening here, and there were people running around, and obviously, as they're heroes, they decide to jump in and save the day, and they have a kiss, and then they jump in and save the day. Also, it kind of threw me off here that Cloak was bold. Like it just was like, oh, I prefer Cloak with hair. That's just I think there's such a thing. Well, there's such a thing with black men being bold. Like Cloak, Sink, Bishop are ones like Springtime. I'm like, why are they bold? Just Luke Cage, like just give him hair. So anyway, but that's in the past and he has hair now, so it's just something I felt. Anyway, so they jump in and save the day, but obviously it must be that the X virus had intertwined them. Then we see in the present that there is this in between, they call it, which is where Cloak or Dagger go when they're not in the normal plane, and they're there with their daughter, Ayla. So I have questions on how, like, did Dagger just give birth in the in between then? Like, what by herself? Like, that's such like Madeline Pryor giving birth on the kitchen floor in the X Mansion by myself, sort of thing as well. The X-Men are in Paris. That's got that same kind of energy. Unfortunately, we don't know anything about that here. But they basically then that there's this in between space, and she's here because it's safer for her to be here than it is to be in the real world. Which is true, I guess. I'm looking through the comments as well. I've read very little stories that have Cloak and Dagger in them, so I'm not at all emotionally invested in them as characters, and this title isn't really pulling me in. That's fair. I don't know. They're little fun. I'm kind of similar. Like they're just it's Cloak and Dagger. You know, they're just there, but I don't mind it. I think they're a fun little pool to have in this event. Like, sure, why not capitalize off the fan hype? And okay, I see you saying. I think Marvel's Rivals is creating fan hype, which is probably what they're riding on with the only one can exist at a time. 100%. Like this is 100% inspired by Marvel Rivals, but it's obviously not the only thing. I know coming in the summer next year that Hela is becoming the Queen in Black with Null, like the whole thing from season 3 of Marvel Rivals, and stuff like that. So it's clearly making an impact, and it makes me laugh because I remember when Tom Brevoort was like, oh, like about 3 or 4 months ago, was like, oh yeah, Marvel Rivals does not dictate anything that's happening with the comics. Like, you know, it's not really something that's doing anything. And I'm like, well, someone changed their tune. But anyway, yeah. So the one thing I'll say about Cloak and Dagger as well is I think it's fun that they're involved in this as well because at one point, well, they've gone back and forth of being mutants and not being mutants, and obviously they're not mutants, but I guess I don't mind when some characters become mutants. I'm not opposed to it. Maybe it's just because you know I'm a X-Men fan, so I'm like the more the merrier. But anyway, so they go and so anyway, they're at this. They're still in St. Louis, I believe, and Fenris attack with Locust, who might be Locust. I didn't do any research on who this Locust was, but I might. If I remember correctly, and it's been a while since I read it, it might be Locust is in the villain from '60s X-Men, which was such a pull. Well, for 1 second, I thought it was Swarm, which is the Nazi bees person, which would make sense for Fenris, but I don't think it's that. No, it's Locust. So I think it might be put this X-Men '60s X-Men villain. But anyway, they send them to attack, and Cloak or Dagger, sort of deal with that, and then sort of Fenris make themselves known, and they have a bit of a fight, and Cloak, I'm sorry, gets beaten down, and but look, it turns out that if like the one that's in the real world gets hurt, the other one also gets hurt. Like they're that interconnected. Um, it's like that Hancock. I don't know if anyone's ever seen that movie with Will Smith and Charlize Theron, but I swear they like are so interconnected that they get hurt. Like if one hurts, the other one gets hurt. I haven't seen that movie in a while, but yeah. Anyway, so then Dagger's been hurt, and then Ayla, the daughter, is pretty distressed to see her mother in pain, even though she's not out fighting. And they didn't. I don't think they realized as well that this would happen. And then the main captain army man from last issue that was on that bus that they all got turned into mutants or they got killed. He's woken up and now he's an evil mutant and he's ready to fight for mutant supremacy with the Nazi incest twins. And then in the final surprise, Ayla, the daughter, goes, "Oh, I know how we can save Daddy," and somehow somehow it's not been explained. Ayla and Dagger make it into the real world, and Cloak is still there. So obviously Ayla maybe living in the in between for however long she found a way out, and so Cloak and Dagger are no longer connected. Um, I guess we'll see. Um, well, that's fun, and yeah. So this Cloak and Dagger book. I don't mind it. You know, it's not important at all, but it's got low stakes. It's low stakes, but like I don't know, it's not trying to do too much, and the art's good. I appreciate the art. Um, I guess um I guess I do think. I mean, I know it's just stolen from Marvel Rivals, but I think it's a fun concept for the two of them, and yeah. So that it's left on the cliffhanger that somehow they can they can untwine themselves, and they might been able to do this whole time, but they needed their daughter to show them the way. But yeah, we'll see how it ends. I also think Fenris is a fun villain for them, though I don't think they've done a bad portrayal because you can't really do bad with Fenris. But I'm just like they're not evil enough for me. They're too much like we're pro mutant for me because I don't really. But then I guess maybe in this world that's what they see as like the way to be superior now. They're too like self-serving. They're not self-serving enough for me in this yet. But and also they're winning too much. They need to be. They need to flop. But there you go. Cloak and Dagger. Cloak and Dagger. Yeah, it was fun. So that's Cloak or Dagger for you. On to the third book now, which is Undeadpool by Tim Seeley, who wrote that Magik um, side story with art by Carlos Magno. Um, and if we remember from last issue, obviously Deadpool has finally become a mutant, but the X-Virus has turned him into a zombie. And so he hungers for mutant flesh. And um, so he ended up coming across these four new mutant characters called the Alpha Warriors. And in a surprise turn of events, he ate three of them. But because he ate three of them, he regained enough of his consciousness to stop being a zombie for a time. And it's just him and a character called Fearless, who's blind, but she's a telepath, and she dresses like Daredevil. And that was pretty much where we were. Also, Cable is possessed by the techno-organic virus. More of that is explained well, his techno-organic virus has evolved to the Warlocky one, and it's more there. It was more explained in the the 3-issue Infinity arc he had to explain why he was this way, but I frankly can't remember it. And it's not really important. So there we go. So in this issue, the two of them were together, and they end up going to Santa Claus, Indiana, which is a real place. I'm wondering. I'm assuming. I don't know. I didn't do my research. I just trusted that it's a real place. I would believe it. And obviously, it's an abandoned place because despite this being like a mutant utopia place, um, it's also kind of a dystopia, and this feels very. I mean, obviously, this is kind of like a zombie book, so this does feel very like zombie movie sort of place where it's like an empty, creepy place with all these zombie, not zombie, Christmas ornaments up, and it's just abandoned. So they go there, and they have a cute fun time. Fearless trips into a pile of teddies. They have a fun bit of time. And I thought the dialogue this issue was a bit better. Like I enjoyed this issue more than the first issue, I will say. It was more engaging. I think more because it was more of actual Deadpool rather than zombie Deadpool. We also get some backstory about the four Alpha Warriors. So it were all from Helicarrierville, which is a place that we have seen briefly. Zorn was walking through it in the very first issue, and the Zero issue. I'm assuming it's a place where it's a place where helicarrier crashed. Um, but they all had powers, and then they were all tapped to join Revelation. But then it turned out that they were too moral for Revelation, so none of them became X-Men or Seraphim or what have you. So because they were too moral for Revelation, they decided to go on the run and find the real X-Men. But then they kind of got ambushed. We see a little bit from the Omega kids here. They got spotted by them, of course, because they had negative thoughts, and so they've been on the run ever since. And they're just, as they mentioned in the first issue, they're just trying to get back. They're just trying to get to the Expatriate X-Men. Well, they were anyway. But obviously, Deadpool went and killed 3 of them, so it's just Fearless now. But then Cable turns up, and he starts shooting Deadpool. Now, the thing with this Cable is that because he's possessed by this warlocky, more advanced techno-organic virus, he's not really in his right mind, and he is getting confused with where he is in the timeline. So I like the references here where he's like, "Oh, I've come to the present to save Cannibal and stop Apocalypse and blah 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 blah." And there's this new age of X-Men versus X-Force, and like he's just getting confused at what point in the timeline he is. And I thought that was a fun little reference to when Cable first appeared. There's a whole thing as well that he gets confused about Deadpool because when obviously Deadpool first debuted, he was a mercenary for hire against Cable and X-Force. So there's that. But then not Cable. Sorry, I keep getting them lost, keep getting them mixed up in my head. Deadpool. Sony, I guess his hunger for flesh gets strong again, and he actually bites Cable. He eats Cable's flesh. There's just a lot of cannibalism in this book, you know. Quite similar to the last Wolverine in that, even more than the last Wolverine. But he bites Cable, and then Cable gets sent. Cable just gets sent off, going crazy, like the techno organic virus. Sorry, goes wild, and so he leaves. But Deadpool goes back to his normal self. Oh, spoilers. No, I skipped ahead. But then while they're fighting, Fearless also displays some telekinetic abilities. She's giving Jean Grey, I will say, not like in a bad way, just she's giving Jean Grey, and then that makes Cable run away, because he's all frazzled. And Cable sort of comes to him. Oh, and it looks like Oh yeah, Cable sheds the techno-organic virus. I guess maybe it was fried out of him by Fearless / being eaten by zombie Deadpool. Um, da, 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 da. And then in the final page, we see that they've gone to St. Louis, Missouri, which is the exact same place that Cloak and Dagger is. But they have that Deadpool and Phyllis are on their way to the flotilla, and Bronze and Miss Marvel have noticed it, and they're ready to fight. So, as I said earlier, obviously, Expatriate X-Men 2 sort of references things that happen in Undeadpool issue 3, so at least you know that the whole of Undeadpool happens before Expatriate X-Men, the series, even happens. And I appreciate that 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 timeline knowledge. But yeah, so at the end, Expatriate X-Men notice that they're coming and are ready for a fight because they don't trust Deadpool, because who would? He's a mutant zombie now who eats mutants, so I wouldn't trust him either. But yeah, I think I got everything. Yeah. I thought this, as I was saying earlier, I think this book was actually better than issue one. I wasn't really a big fan of issue one that much, but I think this one was better. It had more funny moments. It had more like fun references with Cable. I'm always a sucker for a reference to an older comic or like a thing, and I'd be like, oh my god, I know that. So the whole thing with Cable misremembering when he was in the timeline and being like, oh, I'm from the future to save Cannonball and blah blah blah. All that stuff was good. Um, and yeah, so I enjoyed it. And there was less actual zombie Deadpool, which I think was my issue with the first issue. Was that it was too much of him being a zombie and too much internal narration. And like because obviously as a zombie he can't speak, so we're losing the main. So it was just boxes and boxes of narration in the first issue, and there wasn't as much in this one. So I preferred that. Yeah. So that's Undeadpool issue 2. Um, Max, I'm curious. I'm curious to hear what you thought about this issue because I think I remember you said you were a big fan of issue 1. So I'm curious whether you still felt that way. If you feel like the the quality has continued or whatnot. Let me know. And Katie, I'm saying here. Oh, this is back for Cloak and Dagger 2. The daughter being the connecting factor between the two of them is kind of adorable. I wonder if she'll have powers of her own. Maybe. Well, maybe she has a power to like go through dimensions. Hmm. Or something. Maybe. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see. Yeah. Maybe she's like like Magik is connected to Limbo. Maybe she is connected to the in-between thing, but this other dimension they go to. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see. Um, but there we go. So there's that. Um, but yeah, that's Undeadpool issue 2. I've sort of sped through that. I liked it, and I thought Deadpool and Cable were better written, but I think the plot isn't very appealing, which vexes me because they're my favorite characters. Yeah, that's fair. It's not really. Yeah, it's just. Oh, I'm Deadpool. I've eaten these people. I feel bad for this new character. Let me get her to the Expatriate X-Men. Yeah, the thing is, I think one of the big problems with this event is, as I mentioned earlier, is just because every book is 3 issues. There's just nothing feels fully fleshed out. Like not fleshed out, just it just. Mm, I know. I felt like maybe the writers were probably like, oh, I don't have enough space to tell a particular story or whatnot. So they sort of everything is just a bit less, if that makes sense. So like it's not a very intriguing plot. It's just oh we have to get this person to this place for this one, and like Expatriate X-Men is the same thing. It's the same plot. Oh, we have to get this one person to this place. Most of them are that. Well, just thinking now. That Book of Revelations, not Last Wolverine. Oh, we need to go to this place to stop Wolverine from what have you. Omega Kids. Okay, Omega Kids is not. Unbreakable X-Men. What's happening there? Binary. Yeah, well, a few of them anyway. Like they're just trying to hit plot points. Yeah, I see. They're just trying to hit plot points without having the space to do filler and such. Yeah, or not even filler. Just giving us time to breathe and just have moments with the characters and stuff, and just maybe. I think that's the other thing is there's not much world building. Like like obviously we know a bit of the history and we know Revelation's in charge, blah blah blah. But like none of it feels kind of like not cohesive. Like, so is it a mutant utopia or is it like a dystopia or like are people thriving or what is going on? Because even in the mutant parts, like the small things we've seen is like people are still poor. So it's not, is it really a mutant utopia? Like I just none of it really. It's just not very cohesive, which I think is, I don't know. It just feels very like, I don't know. At least I think if they were really trying to, because they obviously this is a play off Age of Apocalypse, they could have at least done 4 issues. But also, we don't need 16 books. That's kind of crazy. But alas, here we are. Here we are. Week 9. Week 9. So currently there have been 60. Well, there's currently been 34 comics about Age of Revelation. 33 in the past 2 months. 33 comics in 2 months. That's crazy. That's crazy behavior. Just crazy. But there we go. We're getting a bit off track there. But anyway, and on to the final book, which is X-Vengers, written by Jason Lowe, with art by Sergio Davila. Where did we leave this one? Well, as if you remember from the first issue, Captain America died, and he died next to Danny Moonstar, and he gave Danny Moonstar his shield and was like, "You need to keep fighting for the world." So Danny Moonstar is now Captain America. The wildest thing. Oh my God! Off topic. Or has anyone else seen that there's a Moonstar comic book? It's a 5-issue miniseries, but I'll take what I can get. A 5-issue Moonstar comic. It's coming out in March. Well, starting in March. Written by Ashley Allen, who wrote Magik, and I actually think Magik was quite good. I think she wrote a good. Obviously, Danny was like the second. She was like the second main character of that book. Just off. Just, but yeah, I'm excited for that. I will be checking it out because I think Magik was quite strong. Particularly, I think that was Ashley Allen's first main story. But anyway, that's off topic. That's a brighter day. We're back here. Let's go back to the future. The future that is Danny Moonstar, Captain America. So, Danny Moonstar, Captain America. She's leading the new Avengers, who are the Avengers, but who's leading the Avengers, but they are jokingly called by a lot of other people the X-Vengers because it's Danny, Sam, Cannibal, and then a bunch of Avengers who are mutants. So Shang-Chi, who's like incredible, he's like super strong, so he can make things be destroyed with a single tap. Water Widow, what or what a on the nose name because she's just water, right? We've got Hawkeye with 6 arms, and we have Scott Lang as Variable Man because he was like he could change his density and he was big and small and well. Oh, and also Vision, who's merged with Warlock, Techno-Organic Virus stuff, and they were fighting. They saved the Revelation territories from the Kree, and they're working out of America, but they fly into the Revelations territories back and forth. Yeah, that was how this book started. You're so brave for being able to read X-Vengers. Well, as I said in the very beginning, I'm reading Age of Revelation, so you don't have to. I've already pre-ordered Moonstar #1. Love that. Love that. It's a, you know what? With X-Men United and Moonstar #1 coming in March, they're trying. I wonder. This clearly is where things maybe pivoted. I don't know. Maybe they didn't pivot, and this was just part of the plan. But like, there's something in the air with those 2 books where I'm like, I've not lost complete hope. Obviously, it's just a mini series, but I'll take it. I'll take it. A Moonstar miniseries, love that. And this is a safe space for tangents, love that. Because, I mean, this is my own stream, so I should be able to do whatever I want, really, shouldn't I? But I love to hear that um, because yeah, I tangent all the time. Um, so yeah, love that for Danny Moonstar. And you know what? If I have to suffer, if we have to go through Danny being Captain America, then just so we can get a solo series, I would take that, you know? And when I can see we need more Danny, we do, you know, I always was a big I was a big supporter of Danny being a member of the Quiet Council on Krakoa. Really, she should, I mean, in an ideal and non-story driven world, it should have been it should have been Danny instead of Colossus on the heroes side. Um, she should have been on the hero side with Storm and Nightcrawler. That would have made so much more sense than Colossus, but obviously Colossus had to be there because he was secretly being controlled by his brother and Russia. So she deserved more there, but maybe we'll get that now. And you know what? If that's one positive thing we can take away from this whole era of X-Men, so be it. Need Gen X and New Mutants to be pushed so much more and not just Magik, right? Like, oh, Monet, oh my god, let's free I mean, I don't even know what's going on with Monet anymore. She was supposed to be an Uncanny X-Men. She's barely been an Uncanny X-Men. She was in the prison and then just walked out. And yeah, so don't even get me started on Monet. And then the rest of them too. Chamber, he was in that Weapon X-Men book that flopped. Um, anyway, back to this. Talking about New Mutants, back to X-Vengers, which is a secret New Mutants reunion, which is clearly what Jason Lowe wanted to write, but couldn't, and so he's written this instead with it secretly inside, which is sometimes which is basically what a lot of writers do, really, isn't it? So, picking up from the end of the last issue, they saved, as we're saying, the X-Vengers saved everyone from the Kree invasion, but there was this weird, like, techno-organic red blob thing that then absorbed Scott Lang. So Scott Lang is just now a giant skeleton, which is a bit sad. And there's a bunch of other dead people there too. R.I.P. I guess. Um, everyone's in shock. The X-Vengers and the Seraphim. They're all a bit in shock. Blah 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 blah. But then there's a bit of beef between the Seraphim and the X-Vengers. There's something about the Seraphim. There's War Warpath, Sunspot, Boom Boom, and Rock Slide. Such an interesting pair. But um, Sunspot gets a message from Revelation saying, he wants to speak to Danny and Sam, but none of the other Avengers. Obviously, Doug Cypher was a member of the New Mutants as well. So it's a New Mutants reunion, as Sunspot literally says here. Meanwhile, the Shang-Chi is a bit frustrated and he makes things explode. And I thought this was a cool panel at least, so I included that here. But then they have this discussion on the rooftops, um, and Roberto's just like the sort of commentator. It was like okay, he had his like it was his it had his like funny energy, um, but like it just felt a bit Deadpoolish. Anyway, so they have a discussion and I've sort of cut out a few pages because some of it feels irrelevant. But basically, Danny and Revelation are disagreeing. Obviously, Revelation's like, you should work for us, and Danny's like, no, no, no. And I remember how you used to be. You used to be Cypher, and now you're this grey dude. But then suddenly, more of that red techno-organic virus stuff pops out of the ground and starts threatening everyone. So the Avengers assemble, and Water Widow is the one that does it. I don't know. And so now the Avengers and the Seraphim team up together to save people's lives. Revelation even gets involved. And basically Revelation uses his oh no, well first of all Vision, because he's like he can phase through people. and he's got the techno-organic virus as well. He manages to free someone from the red goo, right? But not everyone is so lucky. Some people die, and then Revelation like locates where all this virus stuff is coming from, and he uses Vision because obviously Vision was able to separate this one person from it. He uses Vision and his Technoc connection to destroy it all. So he like uses his Bene Gesserit voice and goes kill all the virus, all the techno virus, and he pushes. And it's funny here because he doesn't. You think that this would be quite a taxing thing, but he didn't need any of his choristers here. So just interesting. I guess it wasn't that. Anyway, so he pushes Vision to do all that, and then you see some cool shots of the other Avengers saving people. Again, I thought that was a cool shot with Danny and the Captain America shield, just in the sort of power effect and her using it to defend things. I just thought that was good art. Good art. Love art. But then Revelation pushed Vision too hard and Vision died. So in 2 issues, we've had 2 X-Vengers die. Flop team. Um, it's giving X Factor. It's giving the most recent volume of X Factor, really. So then the Sam and Danny are both sad that Vision's dead. I personally don't care for the toaster that much. So, you know, but there we go, he's dead, so um and so they're pretty angry with Revelation. He's like, you did that without telling us. Um and then Revelation's sort of being all his like snarky self, blah 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 blah. Um and then they and then he's sort of threatening that he's gonna make the whole of Revelation territories go to war with the humans because he thinks it's the humans that are doing it. And then Danny's like, no, wait. Give us time to like find out what's actually happening. And then, give us 24 hours. And then he's like, no, I'm giving you 3 hours plus Sunspot is joining your team because I don't trust any of you and you could be being spies to the humans and Sam Wilson, who's the president, etc., etc. So in the final issue, Sunspot is joining the team, I guess, which is, I'm pretty sure I read somewhere that Jason Lowe wanted Sunspot to be one of the X-Vengers, but then they were like, oh no, it'd be more interesting if he was a Seraphim, which does make sense, but also I just can't imagine, I don't know, I feel like Bobby and Sam are too connected at the hip. But there we go. And then that's the end of the issue. So at least in the next issue we get more Bobby, which is more Sunspot, which is fun, I guess, because the can we just acknowledge the fact that the only time he's been seen in the From the Ashes era is that he got called by his cousin, who's Argentinian and he's Brazilian. Ransom from the Outliers. He is the cousin of Sunspot, and that's apparently a thing because obviously they're both black and they're both from South America, but they're not even from the same country. But some of their cousins, and now that's all had to be retconned in the Emma Frost, the White Queen series, that some of Sunspot's relatives are from Argentina or moved to Argentina. Anyway, so at least Sunspot's getting a showing here. As I said, he felt a bit Deadpool-y in the sort of like, oh, I'm funny, haha, I'm making the jokes while everything's happening. Like, I don't know. But this was an issue. This was an issue that happened. And Vision's dead. Did anyone miss him? So that's that, guys. We did it. We got all the way through week 9 of the Age of Revelation. Let me check on the comments before we get to everyone's favorite bit, which might just be mine, but I say it every time anyway. The ranking. So Monet, Sync, and Jubilee. I won't forget you. Only getting scraps, even though Jubilee is supposed to finally be getting a push soon. See, you say that, and Gail Smoke said that Monet was getting a push. Push where? But I have seen the cover to issue 24, which is Morbius trying to bite Jubilee, which is interesting. I'm assuming she's not going to get turned back into a vampire. I hope not. That would be so disappointing because I'm still editing my video that was supposed to be for Halloween, which is the X-Men and Vampires video. So I hope I don't have to make a amendment so soon, because obviously I have a whole bit about Jubilee in there. Anyway, but it's always fun when Jubilee gets involved with the vampires now and again. I just don't want her to be a vampire again. Max, she said this was another issue to remind us that pretty much everyone in this feature dies horrifically. Yeah, like Scott's body was just that skeleton was awful, and at least Vision died saving people. Like you know, but yeah, it's just a lot of like death. It's just not even a like I'm just thinking about the other age of future events, right? Age of X-Man was Age of X-Man. I enjoyed that more than this. I think it had a more solid, it was more coherent and more of a solid through line, also less books. And then I think back to Age of X. That was the other like dystopian, or even Sins of Sinister did things better. But Age of X, what a book. What an event. Oh, the days. Um, Age of X. What good days we had. Mike Carey writing, Clayman on arts. Oh, what a time. Anyway, Sunspot's uniform. Okay, go. Yeah, this uniform. Let me go back to a page where you see it clearly. This one? Yeah, this uniform, not gimmick. It's so basic. Oh, come on. Where's the fashion? That we just there's just a lack of sauce with this new era, if that makes sense. Just everything just lacks sauce. The I think the only person that hasn't lost her sauce is Storm. Like her fashion has remained cool and she's had a bunch of new outfits and they were pretty fun. Everyone else, sauceless. Um, and Loki might have bought this book if it wasn't tied to the Avengers. The mutants are carrying. Well, I hate to say it, but it's true. And obviously, Jason Lowe wanted to write mutants as well, and then was forced to write the Avengers. And I think that's a bit of a shame. I will say, I will give Jason Lowe credit. I've enjoyed this more than I enjoyed Dazzler or the Concert of Champions. This is better than that. Those books. So an improvement. Honestly, for next week, I'm just going to read Amazing X-Men and not bother with Binary and Laura Kinney Sabretooth. Yeah, that's wise, Max. I think that's wise. Apparently, I've heard word on the street is that we'll be finding out what's happening to Jean in the next era in Binary. Sorry. Obviously, I will read all three. So, Max, you can just tune in next week and find out what happened in those books from me. And you can save yourself the hassle. But I think that's wise because really, I think Amazing X-Men will be important and the rest will be the rest of the books. If we get Vampire Jubilee again, she better keep her powers this time. I'll fight. Yeah. I mean, yes, that was part of the. I mean, that's part of why they did it, didn't they? Because she didn't have a power, so they need to give her new powers. And it was also Twilight time. But I suppose the one thing is that her powers sort of contradict being a vampire because like they're light. So like, does that harm her? I mean, I just hope doesn't become a vampire. I don't think she would. I think it's more like a bait and switch. But like, I also wouldn't put it past Chaos Moon. So, ever since I saw Doug and Wifey in a graphic t-shirt and pants in that cabin, I knew the drip died with Krakoa. Yeah. I mean, I will say though that that Doug in that Krakoa Whisper Lover shirt. That Krakoa for Lover shirt goes hard. I even own. I can't. I'm gonna pull it out. I even own a Krakoa Whisper Lover shirt, which I love. But otherwise, yeah. So not too much on the Krakoa Whisper Lovers. But yeah, just sourceless really. And like the Doug Revelation design. Oh, let's talk about downgrades. Let's talk about downgrades. Now, okay. Let's get back to it and to everyone's favorite moment, the ranking. So, in fourth place, we have, drum roll please. Oh wait, actually, no, drum roll please. We have X-Vengers in fourth place. Fourth place. And I forgot to put the cover at the front. Is this a really surprise to anyone? Not a surprise to me. Well, yeah, I'm gonna put this in fourth place because it just, it just, yeah. I don't think this was. It's not the worst comic. Like I would have still, if we were to rank it from other comics, I would say the Last Wolverine is not as good as this. Like I don't think it's the worst comic of the entire bunch, but it's just, I don't know. I'm just struggling with the whole X-Vengers thing. I don't particularly care for any of the other Avengers that aren't Danny and Sam, and neither does, as I said, neither does Jason Lowe because they're the only characters that matter. Yeah, I mean, I think the New Mutants reunion in this was fun, so I'll give that points. But yeah, it's just a book. Again, none of the books feel important. Not that a book needs to be important to be good, but I think with events, I think either they need to be good or they need to be telling a good character-focused story. And um, I don't really buy Danny being Captain America. I just don't feel like it's in her sorry, I was just texting my partner then. I don't think it's really in um her her, her to be Captain America. It just feels wrong. Um, yeah, and again, all the other characters other than Danny and Sam feel like filler. Danny, Sam, Beto, those are the only three important characters. Everyone else is filler. We could have just had the mutants instead, maybe. I guess. Um, so yeah, fourth place, X-Vengers. Third place. Okay, we ready? Drum roll. Third place, we have who deciding? Oh, I almost. Oh, I'm gonna say Cloak. I'm gonna say Cloak or Dagger. I'm gonna say Cloak or Dagger. Now this is a close one between third and second. I think the art was amazing as it has been. Very strong art. Um, I think I think as I said, it's just a low stakes book, which is fine. I think it does things well. I just I don't particularly. It's just that middle. I don't really know what to say. There's just not a lot I really have to say. It was like it's a solid book. It's a solid book. Um, and I am very intrigued into the third issue of like what the whole thing with the daughter and being able to leave the in between and are they still connected? Still intrigued by that. But yeah, just sort of happened really. I don't know. I feel like I need to have more to say, but like solid art, solid writing. It just is a solid book. But it's not wowing me. But I am still intrigued for the next issue. So that's number 3. Now, number 2, you can probably figure it out. Is going to be Undeadpool issue 2, which might be a surprise to some people because I'm pretty sure I put it a lot lower in the week in the first for its first issue. It was a lot lower. This one's higher again because we actually had Deadpool talking. Deadpool talking, being his normal self. I thought it was quite funny. I thought the whole thing with the Santa Claus place was like a cute zombie tropey moment. I guess it was interesting getting a bit more about Fearless. I think also another thing about this future book is that they've introduced so many new characters, new kids that just aren't going to exist after the next issue. Like none of them matter in the slightest because they all don't exist 10 years ago. Like Laura Kinney and her baby, Cloak and Dagger and their baby, Polaris and Havoc and their baby, Ransom and Temper and their baby. None of them exist. Fearless won't exist in the past. Elbecca doesn't exist in the past, and well, they don't anyway. Lyrebird probably doesn't exist in the past. Like, I'm, yeah. I just feel like you can have one new character as like a treat, right? But so many is just. I'm trying to think the last time there was a new character for an alternate universe event. Like I guess in Sins of Sinister we had Rasputin 4, but like they came to the present anyway. And regardless, so but I thought this was more fun, and I think the Cable and Deadpool fight was fun. Tim Seeley obviously knows his stuff, um, and I liked all the references and stuff. And a reference or a funny joke or something like that always wins me over, as we saw with Long Shots. So yeah, this comes in second place. Um, Big surprise for me actually, because as I said, didn't really enjoy issue 1, so I wasn't expecting much from issue 2, but stepped up the game. And obviously, I'm interested to see what issue 3 happens. It's going to be featuring the Expatriate X-Men, so we'll have to see how Tim Seeley writes those. And so, in number 1, probably a surprise. Was this a surprise to anyone? I feel like I'm quite like. Obviously, if you watch these live streams and whatnot, then you know what I like and what I don't like, and I feel like I'm a bit of a mark sometimes. I feel like sometimes you can just guess what I'm gonna enjoy. So obviously, number 1 is Expatriate X-Men. Now, it wasn't as good as the first issue, but I still enjoyed it. I mean, I think I probably care most about these characters compared to anyone else. Like Cloak and Dagger, not X-Men characters, and Deadpool, X-Men character-ish. X-Vengers, it has Danny and Sam, but then Danny's Captain America. So yeah. But I feel like at least with Expatriate X-Men, e-viewing, I don't know, these feel like the most fleshed out characters, and I know I just have enjoyed them more than any. And the new characters of this era, so sorry to the outliers, but you're just not giving what they're giving, you know? So yeah. So Expatriate X-Men goes into number 1. I think the art was pretty good. The pacing was felt a little rushed. But I enjoyed the like little moment between Bronze and Colossus. I thought that was a good moment. Um, the thing with Lyrebird is interesting. Still a bit confused, and I'm also curious like um, who who why is he so important? I thought the Shinobi Shaw inclusion was fun. This fire moment was fun. Like I thought everyone was written well, but the whole thing with Melee is just like, girl, you're being so obvious. But yeah, but I thought it was good. I think some of the art, even though I really enjoyed the art, I think some of it was a bit unclear. Like this bit here, couldn't really tell that this was 3K technology. I mean, I don't really know how else you'd show it. I also was a bit confused, as I said, by this page with the whole flame bit, but it is what it is. So, um, yeah, that's pretty much it. But I thought, as I said, this was still a solid book, still the most interested in it, and I think Eve Ewing writes all these characters consistently, and I feel like if you were to compare this to Unbreakable X-Men issue 2, which features the return of all the outliers, like it just feels more like she actually gives, well, obviously the book is designed a bit differently in terms of these are the main characters, but she actually gives the characters space to have moments with each other and have character moments, whereas we only got a page with the outliers, one page each with the outliers in Unbreakable X-Men issue 2, and that really shows the difference. Like I think, I don't know, I just think Evian writes the characters better and in a way to get, at least me anyway, more invested in the characters, even in this future. Um, but yeah, so that's this issue, and I am curious to see how it resolves and what Lionbird is all about, and what Mystique is doing, and who Melee is believing in. Like, yeah, overall, I think she does a good job with Miss Marvel. And that's the best we can hope for in these days. If she's going to be an X-Men character, I just want her to be written well and not in a way that then Miss Marvel fans who are anti-X-Men fans are like, she's written so bad because she's an X-Men book. Like, but there you go. Right, I'm going to look through your comments now. My only thing is the daughter's eyes are drawn weird. Small nitpick. Oh, of Cloak and Dagger. Hmm. Let me click on that. Woo. Where has it gone? That's, oh, there we go. Let me. Yeah, they are a bit big, I guess. Yeah, they are. They are a bit big, but I always think that cloak teddy bear is cute. That's fun. Um, I just thought this week was so aggressively mid, but maybe I'm just becoming increasingly apathetic about this whole event. Yeah, that's fair. Me too. Um, I think it's just a bit. It's a bit tough running. It's a bit just tough of a slog, which is sad. I wish it was an event we could actually talk about. I'm also just sad. Like, part of me is sad that I started my YouTube channel. Obviously, like, I've been on Twitter for X Twitter for like 20, for like not 20, for like almost, oh, over 7 years now. That's so long, right? So I've been through it all, but I'm sad that I didn't start like doing this or TikTok until 2023, and then this until after Cocoa ended. And I feel like, oh, I missed such the heyday of the X-Men for me anyway, and in terms of quality and everything like that. And I really joined this place in a low period, but we pushed through. I pushed through anyway, and I wish this event was better because then I feel like we'd have more to talk about. There'd probably be more people talking. I appreciate you all here that are watching now. I really do, but I feel like we'd be having more. We'd have better conversations that feel less like going in circles about how mid the books are every week. But there we go. And KDA viewing plus Action Mutants but characters I like wins by default. Yes. Yes. Yeah. I think, yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think viewing actually is doing the best. Again, I think in contrary to Exceptional X-Men, the book felt a little rushed, but I'll take that, particularly because 3 issues is not a lot of time to do anything, I think. But she's doing the most of what she's got, and I appreciate that. So that is month 2 of Age of Revelation done. We've got only 1 month left. Come on, we've only got 4 weeks, 5 weeks left. 5 weeks. So 5 weeks, 4 live streams because I won't be doing a live stream for the finale issue because I'll do a breakdown video for that instead, I think. Yeah. So we've only got 4 live streams left. So we should let's although it feels like a bit of a slog sometimes, let's enjoy the time we have left before we go back to the Out of the Shadows era, and we'll see what comes of that. But yeah, another midweek. I think last week was quite well, had quite some good. Well, it had two solid books, I think, and the rest. Well, yeah, I think we've gone down from last week, and I'm curious about next week. We only have 3 books again. Oh, so we see how that goes. But again, thank you everyone for watching. Has anyone got any final comments before I leave us be on this Saturday evening? Thank you again for spending your Saturdays with me discussing this event of all things. Oh, what a time! What a time to be alive. But yeah, I don't know. I'm I have debated doing like an event ranking, and I'm curious where this would go. I'm just gonna say very low. Um, yeah, yeah, it's gonna be low, but we'll come to that when the finale drops. I'll have a look back at this, and obviously I'll do that video. I will gonna push myself to make that video. Or I have to finish the current vampire video that was for Halloween that's still not out. But one of these days in January, I'll make the video of the entire timeline of the Age of Revelation, and I'll try and make sense of this. But yes, I hope you all have a good week. We are going to make it through this, Kitty. You're right. We are going to do it together. Together. Okay. With that, I'll let you all go. Thank you again so much for watching. What is next week? Next week is is it the 7th? The 7th of December? Nope, the 6th. I am yes, it will be next Saturday. I'll do it next Saturday. Um Around the same time, 10 o'clock-ish for me, whatever time for you. Be there or be square. No. Yeah. I hope you all have a good week, and I'll see you next week. And be safe.